Have you ever wondered how crops were watered in the ancient times?
How the people first got the idea to create channels to redirect water.
Well, you've come to the right place. Here is our podcast on the invention of irrigation in the ancient civilization of Mesopotamia.
Irrigation refers to redirecting a natural water source, in this case a river, to fields of crops to help them grow, typically through means of using channels. That being said, rainfall is not a form of irrigation, as irrigation is an artificial application/slash redirection of water, like a sprinkler, most used when rainfall is unreliable or sparse.
There are different types of irrigation systems, like the basin irrigation, border method, and furrow irrigation. Basin is the oldest, and the one that will be talked about the most. Basin irrigation is formed by leveling a large area of land, then creating a slope downwards. The area could range from 10 meters in length to 100 meters. The basin was basically a large area of hollowed earth with water in it, leaving the soil for growing quite saturated. The dirt that was taken to form the gradient was put back up on the embankment as mud.
The farmers in Mesopotamia were required to keep their basins maintained, but were also required to help others with hoes and shovels when the floods came, as the collective was very important to them. They would then create new canals to divert the water away or repair old ones. Mesopotamians used the two rivers Euphrates and Tigris as major sources of water for their crops. Yet they carry so much more silt per volume of water than the Nile. Every spring, the two rivers would dramatically flood over and bring tons of silt into the land. Because of this, and Mesopotamia being very flat and treeless, the engineers of that time had consistent problems of poor soil, drought, massive flooding, and soil salinity, or the measure of salt in soil.
In Mesopotamia, they developed a way to control the river when it flooded. They dug wide canals from the rivers to their farms. They then dug smaller irrigation ditches from the canals in and around their farm to water all their crops. They would put wooden gates on the ditches to control how much water went from the canal to the crops. This is called a furrow irrigation system. The most vital crops for Mesopotamians were wheat and barley, but they also grew a large range of food. This includes dates, grapes, figs, melons, and even apples. They also grew a handful of veggies. They grew eggplants, onions, radishes, beans, lettuce, and sesame seeds. They could grow all of this thanks to their access to flowing rivers and large farms created from them.
And, because of the Mesopotamians' ability to control the flow of the water from the river, they were able to create a surplus of food every year. Irrigation for Mesopotamia was very important. Since the rivers would flood every spring, homes would have to be replaced every few years, and when there wasn't any floods or rainfall, the ground would crack and there would be droughts. Irrigation both brings more food and water for people and protects other cities within the rivers from being flooded.
Because of the irrigation system established in Mesopotamia, there was less people needed to farm. This allowed for people to expand out into other areas of culture like carpentry or architecture and advance society further, following Maslow's hierarchy of needs. With the advancement of irrigation, there came other advancements. Farmers invented bronze tools to help them, such as hammers, sickles, axes, and hoes. They also invented the plow and plow seeder, all devices which have revolutionized farming.
Surprisingly, religion was a big part of irrigation as well. The land was considered their god's land, so the priests got to own it, they being the voice of the gods. They would then lease the land to the farmers for food production. The farmers would worship Baal, god of sun and good crops, and Ashnan, Sumerian goddess of grain. Today, many farmers around the world rely heavily on irrigation. Rice farmers use the basin method, crop farmers in the West use sprinkler irrigation, and even regular people with plants at home use a form of irrigation called manual irrigation.
Mesopotamia was the forefront in engineering early irrigation systems that would revolutionize how farms are created and maintained today. Thanks to them, we have many methods of watering our crops.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you walk away knowing more about the first irrigation systems in Mesopotamia.